Hi there, and this time what we're going to do is export the mesh and some animations for the weapon for when we get it into UDK. Now, for those who have followed my previous Blender videos, they might have heard me mentioning the fact that I know we can export animations as anim sets, and I didn't know how to do it. Now, a very nice person on YouTube obviously saw this video where I mentioned that and sent me a personal message to say, look, this is how you do it. So, to Acaron or Asa1 or however you pronounce your name, thank you very much, and let's get on with the video. Now, what we have to do is just to be a little bit careful. Now, as you can see here, I've got the weapon, cannon, whatever you want to call it. I'm just looking at it thinking, yeah, it looks a little bit like a cannon. But anyway, what we've got is our 3 rig bones. Now, as you can see over here in the outliner, we've got the pod and the fire bone parented to the base bone. Okay, that's what we want. Obviously, you can make it more complex. Yes, it's this one's very, very simple. Now, I'm doing it just to make things easier for me. Okay, when you start doing your weapons, you might want to have the magazines coming off when you do a reload on him, cocking the gun when you equip it, and things like that. That's all up to you. All I'm going to do in the video is to show you how to do some very, very basic anims, the naming that we need for the anims, because that's important. Yeah, okay, let's just quickly go on about the namings. Now, if you watched other of my UDK videos, you'll notice I use the UT game code as a base, purely because I can't do it myself, but it's got everything in there that we need to start off with to get people up and running. Now, one of the things that you've got to be a little bit careful of here is that when you use their code, it is very much advisable to use their system. Now, in the case for weapons, that main point being the names of the animations. Now, I'm not going to start UDK up here. Well, I'll show you it when we actually take this weapon into UDK. But it is very important, the naming, because the names are called for by code. Yes, you can overwrite them and tell them to use other ones, but just to make things easier for you people out there who are not very good at coding, and people like me sat here who can't code to save his life, using their animation names makes things so much easier when we get our stuff into game for testing. Okay, enough of the burbling. Let's get on with this. Now, oh, pardon me. What we've got to do is obviously do the animations. Now, unfortunately, compared to if you watch my UT3 videos, you'll see me doing this sort of thing in 3ds Max, where I have all my animations in one big long line, and we use Actor X to digest them and all the rest. Now, we can't do that in Blender for the simple reason that if I go down here, open the Unreal Tools, you'll see nothing there to digest animations. But what Darknet, the guy who's wrote these Unreal Tools, has done is made us a possibility to export action sets. Yeah? Now, it's saying show action sets at the moment. Tick the box. Nothing showing. Why? Because I haven't got any. Okay. Right. Now, I'm just trying to get you into the idea of what I'm actually doing here, instead of me just running off at full speed, giving it, yeah, do this, do that, do that, do that, do that, do that, and Bob's your uncle. Well, Bob is my uncle, but that's by the by. Anyway, what I'm trying to do here is give you a little sort of like quick run through of where I'm going, what I'm doing, okay, and where we're going to end up. Now, okay, let's actually get on and do a little bit of the animations. So first thing I do is go up here to the top to the layout, choose the screen layout. Obviously we're doing animations, so we're going to go animation. Now I've moved, as you can tell, I've done this a few times before. Yeah, I've had such a headache trying to sort this out. I've been recording and it's not working, and like, but anyway, right, it will not look exactly like this when you come in to the animation layout. Now what you'll probably end up with is something like the dope sheet here and or whatever. Now what you want to do on this one here, this section down here, is to change that to the action editor. That is important. Okay, now in this window, the front ortho, I'm just going to move in a little bit. Let's pan across. Well, I could hit the home key, which centralizes everything in there, which, yeah, I've learned something about Blender. That's a good one. I'm happy with that. Right, what do we have to do next? Now, what I advise is, if you look in the outliner here, I've opened the armature up and we've got L gun selected. Now we don't want that, we want the armature selected, which is purely the bones. Now once we've got the bones selected, come down here where it says object mode, left click on it, and we go into pose mode. Now this is where we should actually be able to move the bones and have everything come up as an animation. Now the next thing we have to do, if we go down onto the bottom, you will find in your Blender the first time you do it is that it's probably set at 250, I think the default setting is. Change it to whatever you want. Now I've got mine set as 100 because when I do the idle animation for the weapon, it will be approximately 100 keyframes, well, 100 frames long. Now this also goes for the other bits and pieces, the bit up here and the bit in there. We'll get onto that in a minute, but let's see what else we got to go here. Yep. Now what I'm going to do, if you've never seen this done before, I'm going to hold my mouse over a blank part of the menu line, push down the middle key or the mouse wheel. This allows us to pan this line, sort of like menu line, along. Now when you first come into the action layout, animation layout, this bit here will be blank. Now if it is blank, all you got to do is left click in it and go up. This will show you what keyframes you can set. Now all we want is location and rotation, lock roll. Now obviously you could pick scale, although when you get it into UDK it ain't gonna do you that much good because UDK does not like scaling bones. Okay, just a quick word on that. No scale. Okay, happy? Right, now next thing I do down here is I make sure that we've got automatic keyframe insertion is clicked on. Automatic keyframe insertion using active key setting only is switched on, and I'll be hitting set keyframe or insert keyframe quite a lot. Okay, now where do we go from here? We've got the basic setup done, we've got all this done. Alright, the next thing we have to do is actually start creating our actions. Okay, because we're doing an action set. And now, this is sort of like threw me off a few times so far, because I still can't get my head around the fact that Blender's multi-window setup is these let's see, well, I'd say menu lines, or whatever you want to call them. A lot of people would say headers, but with Blender, they're more like bottomers, to be honest, because this one is actually for this area. Now, how do you know that? Well, if you look at this, it says F-curve editor, and when we start doing some animations, you'll see some curves in there. And obviously, the bottom one being your timeline editor, which is that bit there, your timeline. Okay, enough burbling. What do we do? Well, first thing, what I'm going to do is make sure I am set on frame 1 before I go anywhere. Now, in this bit, the action editor, I'm just going to try and find an empty bit where I can press the mouse wheel, center mouse button, pan this over a little bit, because we don't need that lot over there, but what we do need is this bit here. Now, make sure you've got action editor selected there. Alright, and now what we're going to do is create a new action. So we press that, and you can see it expands further already. Now, because I've been doing this a little bit, another word of warning, another one. I know I really should have put this back to factory settings and all the rest of it, but when you first do this, what you'll probably find is that it looks like that. And if it looks like that, it's not going to work properly. Right, display number of users of this data. Click to make single user copy. Get rid of it. Right, if the 2's there or another number, click on it, get rid of it. Now, as you can see here, we're now on action 04. Right, lots of actions there. For the moment, don't worry about it. Okay, so we've got this here. What we need, this is actually where we name the animation that we're going to do. Okay, so we're going to go weapon, fire. Now just making sure that's correct. Press return. Right, we've got a animation set up. Right, what do we do now? Right, what do we do now is actually create the animation that we want. Now, in the front ortho view, whatever view you wish to use. For what I'm doing here, the front ortho view suits me the best. Okay, so I just pressed A to deselect everything. I'll press A again to select everything, making sure we're actually just selecting the bones, which then go blue because we're in pose mode. Making sure we're on frame 1. Yeah. Now we go down here to the bottom of the line and insert a keyframe. Now straight away you will see up here you've got your keyframe set, you got stuff coming in, starting off in your F-curve editor. Never got my head around those things anyway. But, wait, professionals, not me. Okay, right. The next thing I'm going to do to make my life easier. Right, I know people. Well, I used to do the animations and this, that, and the other. And I was like, right, I want it back to the initial position. Like, oh God, here we go. Copy and paste keyframes, this, that, and the other, and it all goes a bit squiffy. So all I do now is I'll take my timeline up to frame 50, hit the insert key, and there we go. Happy with that. We've now got a start and finish frame that is exactly the same. Makes things easier for me. Right, for the animation, I'm going to take it to frame 20. Always move the timeline and then move the bones and hit the key. if you need to. And all I'm going to do is put in a bit of recoil, and you can see here, well, you could, well, if I can, there we go. I'm playing around here because oh, look at that. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Yeah, okay. Geo, stop it. Stop playing around. Right. So now what we have is at frame 20 it's jerked back and it goes back slowly back to forward. Well, back to the rest position. Now if you ever fired a weapon, that's sort of what happens. Now we want something that a little bit more obvious. Yeah. So it jumps back and we want something like a little reload, like the next round being put into the barrel. So what we're going to do is go to frame 25, add keyframes, 35, add keyframes, back to 30, and all I'm going to do is select the pod, select pod, the pod bone first, all on its own by right clicking on it. I'm just going to pop it up a little bit. Now because I've got automatic keyframes put in, it puts in the keyframes for me as it goes along. So if I go back to the rest position, you see jump back, slowly going forward, pops up, pops down. Now that didn't actually go very far, did it? So what we'll do, make sure I'm back on frame 30, just to make it extremely blatant. That's all I'm wanting to do. Alright, bang, pop, ready for the next one. Okay, happy with that? Well, I am. So what do we do now? Well, for this actual action, we're finished. Yeah. So what we do now is go for the next action or the next animation. Yeah. What we do is look at on the action editor line, put a plus, create new action. Now straight away it just copies the name from what we had before. Now we don't want that. What we want is Alt. So we've got weapon Alt fire. Now, but we've still got the same animation as what we had. So all we have to do is holding the mouse in the action editor window. Alright, I'm going to press A, which deselects everything. If I press A again, it selects it all. Deselect it. I'm going to press B for box select. Pull the selection over all the middle ones. Press delete. Ask me if I want to delete the keyframes. Go yes. And now if I run my animation, you see it does absolutely diddly squat, which is what we want, to be honest. Now what we're going to do is be very, very silly. We're going to make the alt fire. Now we're using, well, what I'm planning to do is actually use the link gun code. So we're going to have the beam giving it, and I want sort of like a little jittery effect for that. Not too much, but just a little. So what we're going to do is, we've got the keyframe set at the front and the back. So I'm going to go up to 10, up to 20. Oh no, because what have I done here? I've only getting the keyframes added on the pod, which is not what I'm wanting. So what we'll do is put the mouse back in there, selected them because they were already orange, which means they're selected, delete and go back. So what we're going to do is go back to frame 10 in the front ortho window. I'm going to press A, which deselects everything, press A again, selects all the bones, and now I'm going to keyframe, whoops, no, didn't want that, in the wrong place. So what I'm going to do very quickly. No. B. That's the problem with having hotkeys. Right. G for grab. No, didn't grab them. G for grab. There we go. That should put them on frame 20. Shouldn't it? Yeah. Okay. Right. Again. Frame 30. Keyframe. Frame 40. Keyframe. Now you might think, what on earth is he doing here? Right, because he's not done anything. Well, that's because at 5, what I'm going to do is jerk it back, and we're just the pod 1 selected. I'm going to push that down. Yeah. So now, if I get this done correctly, is select all, or deselect all, go to base, B, box select, Shift C to copy, like in any other program. Now I'm going to go to line frame 15, Shift V. Now making sure the mouse is in here. Yeah. Again. I see what's gone wrong because we're not getting the base one there. So what we do is back in here, A, deselect, B, select all, go back to frame 5, press insert keyframe, back up here, press A to deselect, box select, all 4 of them, copy, Control C, copy. Now let frame 15, Control V to paste, 25, Control, whoops, no, there we go. So you just got to remember to move your mouse up. Now this is going to look absolutely horrendous in game, but let's just have a ding 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 ding. You see where I'm coming from? Yeah. Right, now as you can see here, for some reason it's gone back to being that number for some reason. So I'm going to go change the name. This is what I mentioned earlier. I've been having problems. Yeah. So make sure it's named Weapon Alt Fire before you finish it. Before you click the plus button to go for the next one, we'll do that. Okay, make sure the name's correct. Hit plus. Now what we're going to call this one? Well, the next one we're going to do is the put down anim. The put down anim is actually, I suppose most people would say, the deselect. So when you change the weapon, you put that weapon down. Yeah? See where I'm coming from? So what we're going to do is, we've still got all these there. So yet again, holding the mouse here, making sure I put down now? Very strange. Right. Maybe because I forgot to press return. Possibly. Yeah. Now make sure we're in here. Press A to deselect them all. Press B. Get rid of them. Select all the ones we don't want and delete them. Now if we move this up and down, it don't do diddly squat. Okay. So all I'm going to do is go to frame 50. I'm going to right click on the base bone, and all I'm going to do here is drop it down, press R for rotate. There we go. I'm happy with that. That's R. Where you could, if you wish. Right, let's go. Just going for my hotkeys there. Wrong one. I always get it wrong. Well, that's the top one. So what we could do is go R and put it over there. So if we now actually go to some sort of well, what I'm trying to do here, suppose you could do this with the camera. That's your sort of in-game view, isn't it? So it goes down. Now, yeah, happy with that. Okay. Now that's the put down animation. Now I'm just going to hold here and go into number one. Press number 1 to get us into the front ortho. I'm going to press home to centralize everything. Okay, just so you know what I'm doing. So that's the put down anim. Very simple, isn't it? Well, what I'm going to do is get to. Can I get away with it? Yeah, I think I can get away with it. So what's he burgling about? Well, you'll see in a moment. We've done the put down anim. So the next one we need to do is the actual select anim. But for us, it's called equip. Okay, weapon equip. That's when you actually select the weapon and the animation, the first person view animation you get is you actually bringing the weapon up to sight. Now I cheat on this because I just use the reverse of the put down anim. See, if you look here, we've still got the old name and we haven't done that. Why? Because I haven't pressed return. There we go. Name goes black there, happy. Right, so what have we got? We've still got this anim. Now the quickest and easiest way to do this, trust me, right, is go up here with the last two selected, press G. Now I'm just going to drop them there. Press A to deselect everything. Press B to give us a box select. Select the first ones, yeah. Now press G. That takes us over to frame 50. Press A to deselect, B to box select, G to grab, and I'm going to put them on frame 1. So as you can see here, at frame 1, going up to frame 50, how's that? Hey, I didn't even touch a bone. And we've got the equip anim. Smashing. Next one. Well, the last one that we have to do for these basic videos is the idle anim. So what I'm going to do is, again, press the plus button. Make sure I don't delete everything. Type in idle. Press return. Now, that's not good. I don't want it like that. So, yet again, back into cheat mode. These ones here, they're highlighted. Delete, yes. These ones here, box select, grab, whiz these down to frame 1, and we're back to our starting position. So all I'm going to do is take it up to, I could copy and paste to 100, but I haven't got it there, so just do it like that. Because you can see, we'll do a Control Z to undo that. In here, I'll make sure I have all my bones selected. It's a good idea to make sure you have a keyframe for all your bones at least at the beginning and the end of your animation. So we'll do that there. Now all I'm going to do for this is very, very simple. I'm going to go back down to frame 50 and I'm just going to drop it a little touch. Okay, so all we're going to get when we're in idle is just a slight little bob. That's probably going to be way too much, but at least it'll show that the animation's playing. Okay, so we're happy with that. Now we've done the animations. The next thing we want to do is, before you go anywhere, save as. Now as you can see here, yes, I've done this a few times. So I'm just going to save as anim blend, anim, save as a blend file. Now we're going to go back into the default screen layout. Now as you can see here, we've got a little change here, haven't we, from before. Now because we've got the tick box show action sets, it's realised we've got an action set, but it doesn't know what's in it. So all you got to do is press this button, which is the refresh. Now you can see there we've got all our anims: weapon alt fire, weapon equip, weapon fire, weapon idle, weapon put down. Okay, now next thing what you want to make sure you do is put a tick in export. Click if you want to export the action set. Yes, I do. Okay, now hit down here, you can do a few bits and pieces with the Unreal tools if you wish. Now what's this one? It will ignore action group count as long as it matches the armature. Okay, leave it. Right, one of the little problems at this moment in time with the Unreal tools for Blender is the FPS count. Now FPS doesn't mean first person shooter in this case, it means frames per second. Now normally frames per second for us would be 24-25 frames per second is what you would want to export. Now unfortunately if you do that, it plays extremely fast. I don't know why, maybe a slight glitch in the code somewhere. So what I've done through through playing about with it, I've set my FPS to 10. Now all you got to do that, you can set it to 5. Press return, FPS 5. That tends to be, I think, a little bit too slow for me, because most of my anims are 50 frames, which should normally be about 2 seconds. I'll show you when we get into the Unreal Editor, but I'm going to set that to 10. Now, also the next thing to look at is with the action, single or all. We go for all. Now here you can, a PSK is the skeleton mesh, if you just want to export the skeleton mesh. The PSA is if you just wish to export the animations. Yeah, but we're going, because we haven't done anything, exported anything yet, we're going to export everything as a oneer. Okay, now what we do here is, see this big button here, Unreal Export. Right, before I hit that, as you can see, I'm still in pose mode. Object mode. Armature selected. Yeah. Export. It will do that to you because for some reason it deselects everything. Well, it exports and deselects everything, and that is it. Okay, that's all we've got to do on that. It's, well, I'm looking at my clock and I'm thinking, yeah, it's possibly at least half an hour video gone. So we'll just leave it at that, and in the next video we'll actually get all this stuff into the Unreal Editor and we'll start setting this thing up before we then go on to coding. Okay, so I'll see you soon. Bye bye now.